Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto. Hope you're having a good one. So let's dig into some of these topics that I covered during the Crypto Minute. Monochrome Asset Management, a crypto asset management firm, has filed for their Bitcoin spot ETF in Australia. Now, mind you, the four top banks in Australia have actually stopped payments to crypto exchanges, as well as the National Australian Bank has joined them in doing so. Now, if you look at what's going on here, it's, well, we're not going to let you do it directly, or we're going to try to impede you from doing it directly. So this company, this bank, or this firm has a chance of actually doing this in an alternative way. I don't know. I don't know that they're actually going to get it. We'll see. But it says that the traditional banking, industry is kind of waking up about this, as well as they should. Now, on the heels of Ripple's case against the SEC and them winning a major portion of it, I think it's a very big deal to actually say that the judge, Vaia, says that, she has skepticism over the SEC because they had an opportunity previous to Coinbase's IPO, sorry for the stuttering, to actually tell them, hey, you're not doing a good job. And the reason why I say this is on the heels of XRP or Ripple winning their case, it's because people are starting to see that, hey, the SEC is not necessarily playing fair and also not necessarily looking out for anyone's best interest. Because I sit back and I say, well, they filed for an IPO. So the judge is actually saying, listen, it's not a far stretch to think that, hey, we filed for an IPO. If there was something wrong, the government should have let us know, specifically the SEC, and they didn't. So we're going to go do what we're doing. And the judge has skepticism, and that's why. It's, so there's no law, there's no rule, there's no nothing that says that when you file for an IPO, that the SEC will actually look into your operations and all that other good stuff. That said, she also said that, listen, it's not a far cry for them to think that everything's all right. I mean, they went IPO, and it wasn't until 2 years later that you're saying that, oh, they could be in violation of what? Just of what? I keep coming back to that. Of what? Which makes the bill being brought by Loomis and Gillibrand all the more important. Now, I'm not saying that it's the end all of all bills and that's the best thing on earth, but I'm saying that they're putting something forward. Now, they put this forward last year and it was never picked up. But pressure is mounting on the Congress to actually get up off their butts and govern. And this is one of the things they need to govern. So I'm sitting here and I'm just saying to myself, well, something's got to give. Because if they don't govern, companies could still leave the United States saying that, hey, there's lack of clarity. That's kind of a big deal. At least to me it is. Now, something else that has me quaking in my boots, the government has the ability to freeze your assets, quite easily. But a CBDC being able to freeze your assets immediately, that's scary. And Brazil is finding out now. A Brazilian developer has found that the CBDC being issued in Brazil has that capability. Now, my question becomes, what happens if there's a mistake? How do you file to say, hey, this was a mistake? How, as fast as they turn it off, how fast can they give you back, access to your assets? I would be living in fear if I had a job and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do and I get paid, in CBDC, and all of a sudden I no longer have my assets. I can't pay my mortgage. I can't pay for my kids' schools. I can't do a whole bunch of stuff. What's the process? You built it into the CBDC. What's the administrative process for correcting an error? I'm not worried if you actually, pull the trigger on something that's correct, right? Theft, hacking, that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay, I get it. But if there's a mistake, now this stuff has always been there, but my question has always been, yes, it's always been there, but what's the governance around it all? It's not that difficult to state what the governance is. State what triggers the freezing of assets and state what hoops you have to jump through to get access to your assets back. Because by the time you get your assets back, you could be done for at that moment. Might not be enough. So just wondering, asking for a friend, as they say. Now, on the heels of the SEC taking it on the chin last week, with Ripple, also coming up was the fact that Judge Failla says that the SEC had ample time to actually warn Coinbase previous to their IPO that, hey, you could be violating securities laws. But they didn't. Instead, they waited 2 years to take them to court. And she's got skepticism over that. Because it's not a far cry for Coinbase to think, well, you let us go IPO, we must be fine. There is no rule that says that the SEC will actually, explore your business operations or anything else like that. Except, then why file for an IPO? Like, that is actually an expectation, or it's not a far cry from being an expectation, and that's what the judge is saying. So that's why she has skepticism. So Coinbase kept doing what they're doing. I'm actually wondering why this case is moving forward. And that's because, well, you didn't have any specific laws before, or rules or policies or anything as to what is or what constitutes, a digital asset being a security. And with the ruling last week from, over Ripple, well, what are you taking them to court for? Don't you think you should drop the case and rethink things? Just saying, this whole, taking advantage of people or in companies using prosecution, that has not worked out well for you. I would rethink it. And if you're New York State, Texas, Alabama, I'm missing a couple. They escape me because I would never go to those states. But, sorry, but it's kind of true. The idea is that, those states are not, and I brought this up the other day, those states are also blocking the sale of certain coins that were on the list. Why? Your whole thing was, they were securities and blah, blah, blah. Well, now they're not securities. So when are you going to stop blocking me from living in New York and buying XRP, or living in Texas and buying XRP? Just saying, putting that out there for you. Then you have Shiba Inu, which is good news, saying that this is going to be the summer of Shibarium. So we know Shibarium's coming, but did you know that they have a layer 2 coming as well? I think that's going to be a very big deal. When you think about meme coins, I don't hear anything about coins like Doge doing anything other than just being a coin. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Shiba Inu doing all kinds of things to grow utility, to actually be useful. If they do this whole layer 2 thing, that means they'll be faster and easier to work with. Think about that. Faster, easier to work with. And faster usually really can equate to lower costs. Just saying. So those are things I think about. Binance has completed their integration of Bitcoin Lightning Network. And they needed some good news after the firings, the layoffs, and the departures of those 3 bigwigs. Anyway, you know what we should do? That's right. We should get into the numbers. So unfortunately, you can see on the big board that yes, things are red. But if you really look closely, you can also see we're just moving laterally. We're just going ups and downs laterally. Bitcoin, 30,190. I would like it to be above 31. But, Ethereum is above 1900. That correlation is kind of widened a little bit. The gap is widened a little bit there. Matic is down to 77. XRP is down to 73 cents. I mean, so you're seeing a lot of, lateral movement until more news comes. And more news could come in the wake of the Ripple case, that people just saw everything shoot up, took profits, and everything came down a little bit. I think we're going to see things this week shoot up again. But that could just be me. Again, we're operating within a very tight band. You see my band right here and right here, starting at 26,475 and 31,580 right there. And you can see that we are still operating within this upper chunk of that band. Very narrow space. So like I said, we go up, we come down. And if you really want to look at what's happening. That's an even smaller band that we're operating in right now. I think that we're poised for growth, but it's a matter of everybody kind of catching up and letting everything settle in and seeing that everything is real, right? Ripple did win. They did win. It was stated that, no, those are not securities. So the list of things that the SEC rattled off, those are not securities. I think it hasn't washed over everybody yet. It hasn't really hit them yet. And it's been a long time since a lot of people were able to shave off some profit. And I think that's what's going on too. So just looking at everything, that's what I'm seeing. Let's see here, $57 billion in total value locked. Not bad. Fear and greed index at about 54. It's down from last week. We're right there at the tip of greed and neutral, but that's all right. It really is okay. I think there's still a ton of pent up energy, and you're going to see things start to pick up as you start to realize that more institutions are going to adopt XRP. More banks are going to adopt XRP. You're going to see more movement in Bitcoin because of Binance's integration of Bitcoin Lightning Network and probably other exchanges wanting to jump on the bandwagon. You're going to see spot ETFs be in the news more often. And if you're a bank, you need to rethink how you actually make money, because a lot of people don't want to store their money in banks. And the reason why is because they're just not making any money. Banks make tons of money, but they're not. So they're rethinking what they're doing. And that choice has always been there, right? You can't blame crypto for that, because if you look at any firm out there that says they have X amount of money in assets under management, that's not a bank. Just saying, this is where banks go to make money. So there's something to be said about how things are changing in the world right now. All right. This is Eddie J on crypto. Hope you like what I'm doing over here. If you have any questions, let me know. And yes, we do have a lot more content coming your way. Hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.